The Democratic debate did not go well for the Democrats. It was not a showpiece for any of them. It was funny. I was looking at the New York Times ratings of how the various candidates did. And while I thought that Pete Buttigieg actually did a fairly good job, they were less than enthused. And that is because the New York Times is more radical than Buttigieg. They don't want to see Buttigieg do very well. And so they were talking about how well Bernie Sanders did. And I thought to myself, well, Bernie Sanders was just Bernie Sanders. I'm confused as to why Bernie Sanders did exceedingly well. The answer is because the Democrats are basically now engaged in the same game Republicans were engaged in 2012. In 2012, Mitt Romney jumped into the race. He had run in 2008 also, right? He had run against John McCain. He was sort of seen as by many people, the conservative alternative to John McCain in 2008 because McCain was wishy-washy on issues like immigration, for example. Okay, so in 2012, Romney runs again. He's immediately the front runner. And the entire Republican Party basically goes, really? Mitt Romney? Like Romney care guy? Are we sure about this? Governor from Massachusetts? Are we totally cool with this? And so they start searching for another candidate. And so you get people looking at Rick Perry. You get people looking at Herman Cain. You get people looking at literally everyone. Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich, Michelle Bachmann. Like everybody gets a chance at the top. For a brief moment in time, every single member of the Republican field gets a chance at the top, right? It is the revolving carousel of Republican politics in 2012. And finally, at the very end, everybody goes, okay, fine. All these people, it turns out, are flawed. Back to Romney. It feels a lot like that for the Democrats and Joe Biden right now. Joe Biden is old. He is not good at his job. He is a bad candidate. He says silly things on a routine basis. But he also happens to be the least nuts of these candidates and the person least likely to alienate vast swaths of voters. And so you're seeing Biden rising in the betting odds again, right? Just mid-October, Elizabeth Warren was a 50% odds-on favorite to be the Democratic nominee. She is all the way down to 26.5% in the betting odds, according to Real Clear Politics right now. Joe Biden maintains an 11-point national lead in the Democratic Party. And part of that is because Warren's mojo is gone. I mean, completely gone. She is collapsing in Iowa. She is collapsing in New Hampshire. That probably means she's collapsing in Nevada. And for all of Buttigieg's momentum, in places like Iowa and New Hampshire, he has no national credibility because he has no ability to draw black votes. And when you get down south, where 2/3 of the Democratic electorate in primaries like South Carolina is black, he ain't got nothing. So who benefits from that? Obviously, Joe Biden, which is why Biden, despite the fact that he is barely alive at this point, I mean, the man's eye explodes on national television in the middle of a debate. Here is Joe Biden saying something that is true, which is, while the media may maintain that Elizabeth Warren is the front runner, she ain't. Biden says, listen, I'm the front runner still.
I am the clear front runner in the party. I'm ahead on the national average of all the polls by 7-8%. But it's a long way to go, And the other reason is that, look, whomever is a nominee, it's not going to be enough just to beat Donald Trump. You've got to be able to win in states like this. You've got to be able to be value added to make sure we pick up Senate seats and House seats. And so in every one of these polls in these states that I find myself, and again, I'm not counting on the polls, but the fact is that I'm ahead in every one of the toss-up states.
Okay, and he's correct about that with regard to the Democrats. He's not correct about that with regard to the Republicans. And this is the bad news for the Democrats. Right now, if you look at the swing states, Trump is pretty solid there. I'm looking at some polls of swing states right now, Trump versus the Democrats. There's one that came out just yesterday from Marquette University Law School in Wisconsin. And you would figure that Trump would be a little bit weak in Wisconsin, considering that Wisconsin has a pretty long progressive history. Right now, he's running ahead of every major Democrat. He's beating Joe Biden 47-44, according to that Marquette University Law School poll. He's beating Bernie Sanders 48-45. He is beating Elizabeth Warren 48-43 because she is an awful candidate. And he is beating Pete Buttigieg 47-39. Now, notice those numbers. Now, Trump is not above 50% in any of these cases. But the Democrat is certainly not above 50% and not even close to 50% in any of those cases. And that is before Trump gets through running them through the mill. Facts don't care about your feelings, and it's a fact that The Ben Shapiro Show is the largest conservative podcast in the nation. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our content.